Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the After Dark Show. Tonight, I'm joined with my very good peer, Vanessa Collins, the Teddings, and our special guest who's been patiently waiting for this intro, Marco Zwanenburg.
Good evening, everybody. I could not resist to bring out the official original picture live. So here we go. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Good evening, Vanessa. Good evening, Katrina. Ted, good to see you. And how is everybody else? How are we doing, guys?
We're doing all right, Marco.
Good.
Wow.
Perfect.
Love it. Very impressive, Mr. Zwanenburg. That is the classic pose, right? You got the wrenches
It
there and
is.
the whole thing.
That picture went a long way.
What prompted you to do the picture? How'd that happen? How'd that come about?
It was a while back when you were doing like this little short stint, a short live stint or audio stint, and you had asked me to record some things. And I had taken my daughter to work on a Saturday, and we did a little video, but unfortunately there was too much noise, so it couldn't be used. But one of the things that came out of it was that picture that I posed like that at work, and she took it, and it became gold. I mean, you took that picture and ran with it, Ted.
Well, it's certainly it's popular, right? You're popular, Marco. What am I saying? Jeez.
Yeah, most famous technician of America, right?
Yeah, that's right. So
Apparently Canada too.
apparently, right? So Sean Kingery, good evening, Coralie. Good to see you. Are you back from your trip, Coralie? Sean Butler is here. I had Sean Butler here a couple times today, Marco. And
Good.
yeah, he's looking really good. I was
Perfect.
very impressed with Sean Butler. He's making a comeback. So he's gonna open the show on Monday morning.
Perfect. I've been keeping track of him. So glad. Good to hear that he's doing so great. It's been just fantastic.
So we have a show on Monday. Okay, it is our big 4-day show, and let's find out what it's all about.
This is our Automotive Avengers event. It's happening November 13th through 16th. It starts at 9 a.m. on Monday. There is going to be a wide range of guest speakers, experts, and you can get your complimentary ticket right now at fixedopsroundtable.com. So you definitely don't want to miss it. Go grab those complimentary tickets.
Wow, great stuff. Marco, you remember when there was no Fixed Ops Roundtable, right? When we talked about it.
Yeah, that's May of 19.
Yeah.
That's when you and I had this little chat in Orlando. Like, I keep telling you jokingly, look what happens when you take me out to lunch. But here we are. It's a full-time job now.
So Vanessa, I took him out to lunch. I went to Orlando for some other meeting, and Marco drove up, and we had lunch. And I was on the fence with this whole thing on the roundtable. Wasn't sure whether to do it. And he said, well, you got the beautiful office in New York. He goes, I'll come up. And I said, I don't know if anybody else will come. And he said, well, let's just do it. Put it out there. And
yeah,
Marco, we did it in like 3 weeks, right? So
yeah, like a ridiculously short amount of time. And man, did we make that office just burst at its seams.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I've told Vanessa and Katrina all about you. So I know they probably want to find out more.
Oh,
all right. Well,
we do.
So I'm going to hit you with a good one first, Marco.
Bring it.
What does it take to be successful in fixed operations?
You have to be flexible with that. I mean, mostly mentally. And you need to have just a strong personal skill set, I believe. Depending on what side of the fixed ops direction you go in, like if you want to fix cars, you got to have a little bit of an aptitude for it. A lot of it can be taught, just like as a technician, you are being taught every day with all the new stuff that's coming out, new technologies, new computer systems, new dealer management systems, you name it. But as long as you can remain fluent, like think of yourself like water. As long as you can keep flowing around the problems and eventually tackle these problems and take them down with you, and just have a great mindset about it, like we were talking about before the show. Keep that mindset just positive. It goes for a lot of industries, but automotive industry is not for the faint of hearted. So definitely stay positive, stay fluid, and keep learning.
Yeah, I love that. Open-mindedness, willing to listen and learn. I agree. That would be very important.
And Marco, you have to always keep learning as a technician, right? It doesn't stop.
No. It's depending
You don't
on
know
the
everything?
depending on the manufacturer, you have yearly, quarterly, monthly certifications, recertifications. There's new products that come out because you know that these manufacturers, they're dropping new cars and facelifts left and right. Well, for the customer, they go like, oh, wow, look, the rear bumper looks different now. For us, well, the rear bumper contains like 8 control units nowadays because Lord forbid you actually have to push a button to get your trunk open. Now you want to, kick it and it opens for you because if your hands full, well, there's control units involved. So we have to continuously learn about that. Not just the cars, but also the laws, regulations, and OSHA, for example. That's also a big part of our job. We want to stay safe. We want to stay, make sure we walk the line.
Yeah.
I saw you on a panel last week that's going to be at the upcoming show, and you were telling Joe Lockard at Automax Recruiting, you were telling him that the technician today in America probably goes through more training than a medical doctor does, on updates and changes that are happening constantly.
Yes, yeah, you're right. You're right. I think it was Tom Brzezinski that brought the point that the human body does not change. I mean, a toe is a toe, a heart is a heart, and an ear is an ear. How we diagnose it or how we look at body parts or, what can we replace nowadays, that is developing. But a body is a body is a body. It has been that way for thousands of years. Now, let's go back, say, 150 years. What was on the road versus now? We went from a turtle to the Starship Enterprise. And that development, like I've been in this industry for 27 years. I started off with contact points and carburetors. Now, most of the cars I fix with ones and zeros, meaning software, or a little updates here or there. Like I hardly ever use tools anymore. There's so much electronic involved, so many different things. The amount of sensors, the amount of data that your car generates, and that all has to be taught. You all have to stay up to date with that. We'll go back to the first question. It's like a continuous learning. So not saying that the doctor doesn't go back to school. I mean, don't get me wrong there. I don't want to hear any negative comments here, LinkedIn. Okay. But we have to keep going with the latest and greatest continuously.
Wow. Well, another question for you.
Sure.
What are the hurdles for the future of our industry? Some obstacles.
Well, as you can see in the daily news, there was the whole EV craze. Everything was going to go electric vehicle. The internal combustion engine was going to go away. The few people that really know about the automotive industry were like, no, it's not happening. It just cannot be done. Like, let's take a state like California. They can't keep the lights on a year round in the first place. And now you want to do everything electric. It's not going to happen. Plus, all the resources needed to do this, it's impossible. So the hurdles are what is going to be the future of propulsion for the automotive industry. A lot of people are afraid of electronics. Even before electric vehicles came around, a lot of people did not want to mess with electronics because you can't really see it. You need a multimeter, you need to pin things out. It's hard to understand electronics. So I think that one of the biggest hurdles that we're having in the automotive industry is getting people to be fluent enough to be able to react to the transportation systems. Like, are we going to go electric? Are we going to go internal combustion? Are we going to go hybrid? Are we going to go, you name it, warp engines? Who the heck knows? I personally am a big fan of hydrogen. I think that there's where our future is going to lay. But you have to be able to understand and work with electronics, whether it's like the 5-volt reference signals or 48-volt mild hybrid or high electric for full hybrid vehicles, full electric vehicles.
Wow.
Marco, what kind of vehicles do you work on typically at Naples Luxury Imports?
Our dealership does a variety of brands, but I am Jaguar and Land Rover.
Okay, well.
So we also service Aston Martin, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and Maserati, which in my town are like Fords.
That's awesome. So where do you really see the future heading in the next couple years? You think hydrogen's going to start adapting soon, or you think electric's going to become more popular? Everyone's going to be like, nope, we're done with this. What do you think?
I think that the electric is going to stay stagnant for now. I think for the time being, it has reached its height. It was a fad for a little bit. People just wanted to have an electric car to be cool, but they're starting to figure out that the range isn't all that great. Unfortunately, living in Southwest Florida, you deal with hurricanes. Well, these electric vehicles in salt water don't really get along. Not saying that, you can submerge an internal combustion engine and start it up and be fine, but at least it won't catch a really nasty hot burning fire. So personally, I think that the electric part of it, nah. Hydrogen is definitely going to come up. The internal combustion engine is going to keep being refined and being refined and being refined. What they can do nowadays per cylinder and per liter versus like a few years back, it's absolutely amazing. But it all comes also with its own problems. Like the more you squeeze out of an engine, the more heat you're going to get. So you need better heat management. And that comes with its own slew of sensors and you name it. And absolutely, Sean, I fully agree. Hydrogen, we keep all the moving parts. Because here's another problem, what nobody really thinks about. If you go fully electric, what am I going to work on? What are suppliers going to supply me? What is the parts going to do? It is going to be a massive, massive economic downdwindle if there's no more oils to be delivered, no more oil changes to be done, no more transmissions to be rebuilt. Everything is electric. So it's not just the technicians and the dealerships and the independents. Now you're looking at the aftermarket production. You're looking at the suppliers of chemicals that are used on a daily basis. So the world is not ready for full EV. Absolutely not.
Marco, so not this fall, but the previous fall, there was a hurricane that went up the west coast of Florida. I was on the phone with checking on you, and you said, no, we're fine. It's going to be windy, but it's north of us. And it hit, I believe it hit Fort Myers, okay? And it leveled a good part of Fort Myers. I mean, it was nothing left, right, in that beach. And Brian Kramer had a post on LinkedIn, and he's obviously very astute, and he said, the problem that happened after the hurricane is that people who had electric cars had no way to charge those cars because the whole everything was devastated, and people were literally, they were on the side of the road and they couldn't get a charge for these vehicles. Marco, for weeks, and I recall you driving with your gas vehicle, you drove across the state. Okay. Yep. I remember you telling me the story, how you were able to do that. And you were passing all these people who couldn't get anywhere.
Correct. Yeah, unfortunately, they still don't have the charge rate down. And what a lot of people also don't realize, like a lot of people go solar for your house, which, it's great. I mean, we can talk for hours on the ROI part on it. That's why I still haven't done it. But if you are still on the grid, even if you have solar panels, if the power goes out, your solar panels will not power your house because they're shut off for a safety system. Because what if your solar panels are now backfeeding power from the sun into the lines, which could either be damaged, it could be down, it could be in water, or it could be repaired on. So yes, oh, look at me. I have this electric vehicle. I have all these solar panels, so I am so green, I'm so safe. I don't need dinosaur juice anymore. Not so fast. And that could be a dangerous situation, Ted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So...
Okay, pivoting a little bit. So we all know you as the most famous technician. You've even gotten this popular phrase, what would Marco do? We have people in the comments saying, what would Marco do? So with this phrase, most famous technician, this status, what has this allowed you to do?
It really has allowed me to give the technicians in dealerships and in aftermarket shops, just technicians in general, a voice. It's always been about advisors, definitely management, GMs, dealership owners, dealership group owners. It's been mainly about them. You didn't hear much about technicians because for years and years and years, technicians were treated as, third-rate employees. We could find them everywhere. They're uneducated, they're dirty. And now you can't find them to staff your shop, can you? Whole other subject. But what has it done for me? I'm sitting here as a technician. I am not a manager. I don't have millions to spend in sponsorships. I'm a technician. When I go to work tomorrow, that's what I do. I fix cars. But everything that I see happening in the industry with fellow technicians from other technicians at work or other places, this has allowed me, thanks to Ted, who keeps bringing me on and hears me rant and rave about this stuff, has allowed me to speak up and bring the issues at hand to management, to people that will listen. Like every time I say something, well, maybe not every time, but a lot of times when I say something, managers go like, what? Ted, you still remember when I told Sean Kingery that it's not about the money? It's like, you could pay me $1,000 an hour, but if I need antidepressants to come to work, I don't want it. That's right, Sean. No pizza, dang it.
What does
So,
that no
and-
pizza mean? Just for our audience who may not know.
Well, a lot of times, and, God bless their hearts, when they want to do something nice for the shop, what do? They run to, like a little chain pizza place for $5 a pizza. They get like 12 of them and throw them in the shop. Well, I'm sorry, but we're not frat boys anymore. Each and every one of us in the shop is worth our weight in Bitcoin. Forget about platinum and gold. The amount of money that we produce for them is incredible. So you want me to stop working and pretty much celebrate you, the manager, who just brought in a $5 pizza? No. If you want to do something nice, if you want to reward us, do something nice. If you want to do pizza is fine, but get like a really, really good one, handmade from a nice little store around the corner. So that's where the whole no pizza came from.
I saw Ed Roberts had an appreciation thing last night, and there was a lot of comments on that. They had a big tent, and they had a cookout. And you see the better dealerships doing this all the time.
Yes.
Having the better menu, let's say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no pizza show.
So, but no pizza. But to come back to your question, Vanessa, it really has allowed me to bring the pretty much close the gap between the shop, the technicians in the shop, and I'm still wearing my gloves, and management. So not to point fingers or to place blame, but a lot of times managers can't see the issues because they just don't understand. They have never been a technician, or they're just no longer in that role. They're no longer, and it's such a fast moving world. So I'm able to bring them closer together so we can all collectively work on solutions that will better not just the technician or the manager, but the entire dealership, or in cases like the Fixed Ops Roundtable, where we bring this stuff to the public, we fix the whole fixed operations side of it.
Okay. Wow.
And Marco, it's hard on your body to be a technician, right? I mean, there's a lot of wear and tear.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, I look at these young kids coming in their early 20s, and I'm like, I wish that they would just listen to me. Like, use the gloves, use the safety goggles, use the ear protection. I got tinnitus. That's really great. You go to bed here all night long. That's just fantastic. Why? Because when I was young, I was too dumb to put ear protection on while I'm using my air hammer. But let's talk about carpal tunnel in your wrists, elbows, your knees, your back. I mean, I'm 6'4", so yeah, it's a little tougher for me to be crawling in and out of cars, especially the smaller ones, or even when the car is all the way up in the air, I do not fit under it straight standing up. I have to, bend over a little bit. So it does cause for some wear and tear on your body. So technician yoga, we need to do that next to it.
Yes, technician yoga. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
No pizza yoga.
Exactly. See?
Yeah.
I like it. That's fantastic.
So what
else you got?
What motivated you as a young-minded person to hop into this career?
Funny enough, I never saw myself doing this. I was in college in the Netherlands. It was Automotive Technical College. It was more engineering based. Like they had you calculate a valve flutter at a certain RPM range. It wasn't meant for you to go into the shop because I wanted to be a designer. So I was told by, the counselor in high school, like, well, why don't you first go to this college, learn about cars? I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So by my third year, speaking to the next guidance counselor, like, okay, what do you want to do? It's like, well, I want to be a designer. So we found out that the design schools in Europe are private. My parents always said, whatever school you want to do, we'll pay for it. Well, once they learned the price of just the school at about 120,000 a year, not including materials, room and board, because none of them were in the Netherlands, they were like, yeah, we love you, but not that much. So I wanted to drop out and I wanted to go into the business side of it. I wanted to do risk management.
Oh.
My dad said, it's like you are at your third year. You got one more year to go. It's like, why don't you just finish this out at least so you have a degree to fall back on? Okay, so then I ended up doing some practical training with a BMW dealership. So I graduated college. They wanted me to come work there, as a young kid, like 18, 19. You're making money, you're working at a dealership, you're feeling high and mighty. So I was like, yeah, I'll go back to school another time. Well, that just never happened. So I kind of just floated into it, more circumstantial than real choice. Because if my dad wouldn't have said, just finish this out and see where this goes, if I would have dropped out, I don't think we'd be sitting here talking now, unless we're talking risk management, which I still do on a daily basis.
That's awesome.
Wow.
We get Marco in a room with a lot of automotive dealers and managers, and everyone stops and they listen to what he has to say because he makes so much common sense. And Marco, I do not see you as a technician. I see you as somebody way beyond that in our industry who works with dealers and helps. I mean, you can just talk to, like you mentioned, Tom Drzezinski, or I mentioned Joe Lockhart. You can just talk to them and, they stop because they listen to you. They go, that's a good idea. I should be doing that. Or you can go look at a dealership and you can know in 10 minutes, okay, things they got to change, in terms of lot organization or whatever little things you could help them make so much more money.
That's the next step for me, Ted. I think that throughout the years of being on here and being supported by you and being given a chance to get to this point, I do believe that like I'm 48 now. Like I can't be doing this for a lot longer because once I retire, I still would like to have a body that somewhat works. So I'm looking for, the next opportunity. And I think that this would be a great one. Absolutely. So, and a lot of changes that could be made to make it more efficient and more profitable. They're so simple. But like I just said, like a lot of managers just don't see it because they're just not in the daily process in that. Oh, Sean, come on. It's not my fault you left Florida. And now you're jealous. You left Florida by yourself. I'll come to you to consult. We'll do that. No problem.
In the summertime, though, it's nasty there right now.
Yes. See what she said.
So
I didn't prompt any of this, Sean. It's just all organic. So
that's awesome.
That's right, Tony. See, he gets it too.
What best practices do you use on a daily basis?
Well, that could be a pretty long subject. First and foremost, my primary best practice of being a technician is stick to the basics. Don't forget the small stuff. But one of the most important things to me is, and always has been, and when I was a team leader at Mercedes, I always tried to teach the younger guys this, the new guys, you have to be able to verify what the car is brought in for. I cannot fix what I cannot verify. So one of my best practices is the analytic approach to verification of an issue. And don't be afraid to go talk to the advisor once or twice, or even talk to the advisor and the customer at the same time to come to, because customers don't really always know. Like, for example, I had one 2 weeks ago. They were saying that their speakers are rattling. I'm like, okay, interesting. So I listened. I didn't hear anything. So like, yeah, it's like they had taken a video. So they were going down the road and you heard a strange noise. So I asked the advisor, like, hey, can we call this customer? So we called the customer and I asked her, like, ma'am, does the noise go away when you stop driving? She's like, come to think of it, yes, it does. It's like, well, then it's not a speaker, is it? It is a noise caused by the wind generated by driving, because it only happened at 40 miles an hour and above. I could have spent days on replacing speakers or diagnosing speakers and have a bad CSI come back because, God, my car's been there for 3 times, you still haven't fixed it. You just have to be analytic, precise, and just stick with your basics. That is, for me, one of my best practices for real, and it works.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good advice. It's not every day you get to hear from a technician. And Marco, you're much more vocal than the average technician, like not even close.
Yeah, you can ask my mom about that. She'll tell you a thing or two.
Actually, she signed up for the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I believe your mom signs up for all of them. I always
Yes,
see her
she does. Oh, yeah, no, and she tells me all about the program and who's on when, and I get text messages from her, throughout the day, like, oh, you're on, and it's like, perfect. I mean, there's a 6-hour time difference, so she can't always see me on the day off, but and then she looks at it on YouTube and she downloads the videos, and no, she's a big fan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what else you ladies got?
Vanessa, you want to hit him with one?
I mean, what would Marco do? Everybody asked, hashtag, what would Marco do?
You know what? Marco would just fix the damn car. That's at the end of the day. See, a lot of people don't understand really how technicians get paid. I don't get paid for having a car there for 3 weeks while I wait on parts. I don't get paid for guessing at something. I get paid for fixing a car. When you get handed the keys back after you talk to the advisor and you paid your bill, or if it was warranty, you signed for it, that's when I get paid. So Marco wants to fix the car. That's what Marco wants to do. And then he wants to go home rich and tired. And Marco wants to enjoy life. Newsflash, people, technicians do have a life outside of the shop.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I love that.
Well, thank you.
And Marco, I think that was spawned by a lot of panels you were on where people would say, well, and whether you were on the panel or not, they would ask, what would Marco do? And that kind of became a thing.
So, yeah, exactly. It's
everyone wants to know.
I think I've spawned a few things over the years, Ted.
You have. So Marco is going to be appearing on the Fixed Ops Roundtable several times next week, everybody. He will be on Monday morning. I don't know the exact time, but I believe it's mid-morning, day 1 of the event. I think Miss Katrina will be helping with day 1 as well. And you're going to be on the Tech Avengers panel with a lot of superstars.
Absolutely. That's one of the great panels I think we have on there. I think it is one of the longest running panels and one of the most anticipated ones.
It is.
Thank you, Kyle.
And Kyle Cloud knows that as well. All right. And that is actually one of the highlights of the whole show is hearing Marco on that panel. So that's coming up, everybody. And it's coming up next week, right? On Monday.
Yeah, so just like Marco's mother, you should buy your tickets. FixedOpsRoundtable.com. Join us. You'll have a great time. Starts next Monday, 9 a.m. We'll see you there.
Yep. FixedOpsRoundtable.com, everybody. The tickets are complimentary. And Marco, what a great thing. You get to come to this show and see and hear all these great experts and people from the industry. And, you don't have to go anywhere. It comes right to you. And, it's all provided complimentary as well.
Ted, it's like when we talked about this in 2019 in Orlando. It's like what the industry needed was peer-to-peer. No Kool-Aid from vendors, no Kool-Aid from OEMs, peer-to-peer. And it has really, really took off, and it works.
Yeah, it does. So, Mark, I'm very grateful to you for all you continue to do for Fixed Ops and for the whole.
Absolutely. It has been my pleasure. Absolutely, Ted.
And I think you should take that next step and, go beyond the technician status and leverage that. And I think you do really well with the industry, and we want to help you with that. So
I am working on it. You know me. I have a great mentor, like I said before. So, we're getting there. We're starting to get some traction.
Yep, I know you are. Vanessa and Katrina, great job tonight. You got a lot of strong feedback on the shows you've done, so all good.
Thank you.
Thank
We've
you.
been
Thank
enjoying
you,
our
ladies.
time. It's been awesome.
All right, so everybody, we will see you on Monday at the big event at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to be back Monday night with another After Dark show. And Marco, grateful to you, and grateful for all you continue to do.
It's been my pleasure, Ted. Thank you. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Vanessa.
It was
Nice
so
meeting
nice
you
you.
guys.
to go.
What would Marco do?